At least 54 councillors and municipal officials have been killed since 2021. That's immediately after the local government elections. And now the South African Local Government Association, or Salga for short, is calling on government to set a budget for the provision of security. Let's get more on this proposal now, and we speak to Lance Joel. He is the acting CEO of Salga. Mr. Joel, thank you very much for your time. Let's start with why this budget you feel it has now become necessary. The councillors have been killed over a number of years. My mind immediately, I cast it back to 2016. That was one of the local government elections I covered at that time, and the kinds of killings that went on ahead of that election were perhaps far less than what we are speaking about now post the 2021 local elections. But nonetheless, one life lost is one too many. So why the call now?
Well, good morning to yourself as well as to all of the viewers of Newzroom. And thank you very much for the opportunity. While the call that we have made has been there for quite a few months, quite recently when the National Council of Provinces convened the Local Government Week in September, we made that call. When we ourselves convened speakers in July, we made this call and raised our concern around the fact that it would appear that councillors and municipal officials that are on the ground, that are in touch with communities, are to fend for themselves, unlike public office bearers and senior officials at national and provincial level that have the benefit of being protected, guarded by the security, whether it's provided by the SAPS or where they have high walls where, with electric fences, where they have the benefit of security. Our councillors and officials are in a very unfortunate predicament that those luxuries are not afforded to them, and yet they are on a daily basis at a threat of being attacked. And unfortunately, we have seen that attacks converting to killings and them losing their lives. So this concern has been there, consistent. But now we are asking for action to be taken to assist these councillors and municipal officials.
Before we get deeper into the details, Mr. Joel, let's talk about whether there has been any response. You're saying that you have started making this call a few months back. What has the response been in terms of the availability of funds?
Well, around our call is a very simple one, Holly. It's a simple one that says currently there's an expectation that municipalities must foot the bill to provide security where a threat has been confirmed by the South African Police Services. And you and I know that municipalities themselves have financial constraints, and some of these costs linked to providing security are unaffordable to municipalities. But when you look at national and provincial level, funds are made available, funds are accessible to assist office bearers at national and provincial level with security, and we are left to fend for ourselves at the local government level. And we are saying quite strongly that it should not be about affordability when we want to protect the lives of councillors at the local government level and senior managers at the local government level. And therefore, we are calling upon national government to ensure that funding is made available so that we save lives at the local government level and we do not fall into the current trap of losing lives almost weekly in a local government space where threats have been confirmed on the lives of both municipal councillors and officials. Yeah. And that is the call that we are making.
Predominantly, Mr. Lance, or Lance Joel rather, the people who have been at the receiving end of these killings are your politicians at local level. But lately, there does appear to be the actual municipal officials as well who are targeted. Are these political killings, or is there more to it than that?
Well, I think it would be irresponsible for us to speculate around whether they are political, whether it's intra or interpolitical killings. We have done studies in the past that confirmed that in many instances there were intra-political attacks and political killings, meaning it happens from within a political party. That's where many of these instances were confirmed. But I think it would be irresponsible on recent developments to want to speculate around whether it is in fact political in nature. But what we do know from those that have survived is that it relates to procurement in municipalities. It is around tenders, the provision of contracts to service providers. That is the unfortunate stories that are being told to us. So there are many reasons, and we would not want to speculate, but allow the South African Police Services to conduct the necessary investigations and hopefully conduct that with speed so that we can avoid the loss of further life. But also we would want to see the National Prosecuting Authority initiating court proceedings against the individuals and see some of them behind bars. And that's what we have not been seeing, but yet we have had so many incidents within the local government space.
Lance Joel, I'm not going to allow you to get away with that one so easily. I asked you that question premised on this fact, and this is something that was said by your president, Mr. Bheki Stofile. And this is what he had to say, and I quote, "The killing of municipal councillors and or senior managers should be viewed within the contestation of power. It presents a direct attack on our hard-won democracy." It's the contestation of power, sir. And if you go back to the investigations that were done in KZN under the Mwerane inquiry, it was very clear there that these are intra-party killings within the ANC. So you can't get away from perhaps directing this at the ANC, that this is a contestation of power there. Why is it difficult to simply call it for what it is? That the ANC people are killing each other, and now this is being made to be a problem for South Africans who ought to foot the bill for the protection of the very councillors. Is that not where we are?
No, I would want us to make a distinction. When the president of Salga referred to the killings, he was referring to research conducted by Salga in 2019, and that research indeed at the time concluded that that was the reality that faced us. What I was referring to is the second part, is the recent killings since November 2021, when we had the local government elections, and saying it's premature for us to make that conclusion because we have not done the research, but we have done the research in 2019. I should also add that recent killings spanned across political parties. It's not limited to the African National Congress, and in particular in KZN, unfortunately, we have seen the loss of lives that affects other political parties as well. So I think it would be unfortunate if we would want to conclude that it is limited to a single party, because those that have passed on are not from a single party, but are coming from across different political parties. But
It's a fair point,
yes,
Lance, that you're making. It's a fair point that this cannot be married to one political party or focused on one political party. We have seen the problems in the IFP with the splinter of the NFP. So fair point, but predominantly, where is this problem?
Well, I think you've made the point that predominantly, if you look at the statistics before us, that a majority of those councillors are from the African National Congress, and our research confirmed that it was intra-political, and therefore from within the party, and therefore confirms the point that is made by the Salga president. What we are saying, and I think we must understand it in that context, on the recent killings, those have spanned across political parties, and we really need to get to the bottom of what informs these killings. We need to ensure that the SAPS does its work in investigating these matters, and that people find themselves before court and hopefully behind bars.
Lance Joel, thank you very much for your time. We're going to have to leave the conversation there. Acting CEO of the South African Local Government Association.